everyone, and my name is Misty Gaither, and welcome to Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal. I am so excited to have with me tonight. Her book says her name is M.K. McDaniel, and she is the author of Misfit In Hell and Heaven Expat.
Well,
Right, but you go by Kathy.
yes.
Yes. All right. So I'm so excited to talk to you about near-death experiences in your book and like your journey, wanting to educate the world basically on what you went through. From what I understand and researched, it was like in 1999, you were put in a like medically induced coma. And for 3 weeks, you were in an iron lung.
No, not
No,
iron.
no, not an iron lung, a ventilator.
Ventilator. Holy cow.
Because when I was thinking, when I said, it's so funny. When I said iron lung, I was like, no, that was like in 19,
I know,
like
yeah,
49 or something, 39.
Those look all creepy, don't they?
Look, I would tear out on one of them. I'm like real claustrophobic. There
Me
is no,
too.
I could not, even thinking about it. Oh no, I can't even do what is that? What is that? Which one you go through the CAT or whatever, and they like,
Oh, the MRI.
yeah, that. No,
Oh,
they have to like
Lord.
drug me up to, to do that. But anyway, it's called Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat. So I looked up the definition of expat because I don't know. I don't,
Oh, good for
yeah, I
you.
don't say it every day. So, and I really like the meaning, like you add in it because it means like a temporary residency.
Right,
And
you do your
so,
job. You live in one country, you go to another one to do your job, and then you go home.
right,
And that's how we are here. We
right,
just start in heaven,
right.
come down here, do our work, and go home.
So you had like some really amazing experiences that live with you even to this day. You know how like we get mad at someone, and I mean I've probably said it more than one time, and you're like, well, go to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know how you say that. And the thing is, you've been there.
For many, 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 many years, I believed that.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I've come to understand that that was at best a manifestation of what I was taught would happen to me. Great many of us are ex-Catholics, recovering Catholics. And of this research I've been able to do, I've talked to quite a few people who have had and 85% of us are Catholics. We were taught from day one that there is a purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Jesus died for your sins, you're still going to have a little bit to pay for. Purgatory is like hell, but eventually you get out. Even as children, we were doing rosaries and stuff for the poor souls in purgatory. And if you did a rosary, you'd get something like 300 days off. I mean, it was a math thing, and we all believed it.
Sure.
So I think that when I went over, I expected to do that, and I wasn't disappointed. And again, it took many years, and I can make light of it now, but it was very traumatic. I took things that happened to me in my real life, and I made them worse and drug them down there and strung them together. A lot of people report segments, and that's what I had, where you would be in this complete void darkness, and then all of a sudden lights would come up, and then this frantic scene would appear, and you'd be in some sort of danger, and there was with or without demons and zombies, and I mean, it was just chaotic. I know for a fact in my soul that God is all loving and all forgiving and would never condemn anybody. So I had to take that and try and figure out what happened to me. I also believe that now, through talking to hundreds of people, we plan our lives. This is just one incarnation out of maybe millions, and we come down with our soulmates, and we plan what we're going to do, what we're going to learn. We are the divine experiencing itself because we are all part of God. Everything is part of God. Energy is God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just too much for our human brains to really wrap around.
I used to have like a fear, like a really deep fear of death. I remember as a child when it first clicked in my brain, you're going to die one day. And I remember the trauma and this, the distraughtness of it all. Why do you think that people are so afraid of death? Like you said, is it because of the way we were taught religiously, or because of the unknown? Because a lot of times religion uses hell as a form to kind of keep you in line.
Exactly.
Right. And so do you think that is kind of, is it taught to fear death, or is it just in you to fear it?
Well, if you go back to the earliest humans, they were always, having festivals a sacrifice, whatever, because the unknown is scary in and of itself. Um, Darkness and boogeymen and monsters. It's just in our psyche, I think, and religion doesn't help. I think when we become spiritual and realize we are part of God and God's all loving, it eases. And particularly when you hear all these hundreds and thousands of people that have been there and from all over the world and all kinds of cultures, and they all come back with the same story. God is love, and this is an adventure, and there's nothing to be afraid of.
The way I'm looking at it, some people believe that hell is, we're living in it now here on earth, and sometimes I do kind of agree with them. Depends on the day and what's going on in my own personal life and stuff. Do you think that hell is different individually, or is everybody, like, as far as like the scriptures, and everybody's thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, and we're all, everybody's there and fighting to get out, and you just relive everything and burn? And do you think that that's what, from your experience, do you think that that's what happens, or is it like here sometimes what we go through, that we're already there?
No, anybody that goes over and stays has nothing bad happened to them at all. We have a life review. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't there long enough to get one, but anybody that's tells you about a life review, not one person, not one, has reported judgment. Nothing. You just watch your life. It's like a movie. I think it would be cool. And you get to see everything that happened in your life and how you interacted with people. The only thing that might be a little uncomfortable would be they turn that baby around and you get to see your life again as if you were the people that were experiencing you, the interaction with you.
Oh.
So if you've been particularly nasty to somebody with your comments or whatever, you get to feel that person's pain. You get to feel how uncomfortable that felt to be with you at that time. But on the plus side, if had a good day, you took your friend to the doctor, you took them out to dinner, and they are so grateful and so happy to have been with you, you get to feel that too. So it's just you get to understand what your life on this planet meant. And sometimes you say, well, I could have done a little better there, but I was, that was a good day for me there. I'm glad I did that.
Some of the things that maybe that you seen or something, and you had the chance, the blessing to come back, I guess, were there some things that maybe that you were like, well, I need to kind of change, or maybe I need to do this a little bit better, or
I'm told that we can choose to come down here again and say, yeah, I want to work on that. I was kind of stingy. I would really like to work. I want to see what that would feel like to be a generous person. But there's also innumerable other places we can go. I mean, this one little universe, they can't even tell you anymore how big the universe is and how big it's just endless. So and Earth is not the only place. And
right.
that's why we get in our own little human minds that we are so important. We're the only planet that's got life on it. No, there's lots of other places that you can go. And it's just an endless playground out there, really. Uh, and you keep running into the same soulmates. I love that whole thing. A large number of people, not people, but souls
Mm-hmm.
that you click with, and sometimes you come down as siblings, or sometimes your neighbors, or like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
We had a busy time this time on Earth. Let's get together for an hour, and just that'll be fun. We'll
Right.
just get together. So I think all of that, when you start to understand that or believe it, it changes everything in your life. You lighten up. I think it's a wonderful thing. I was so happy to finally run into all these people with the quote positive NDEs. And now it's really my mission to tell people you don't need to be afraid of God or of death. It's all good on the other side. It is. And you're just here to learn and to, it's a play. And you wrote the script and you're playing it out. We've all got free will, so you
Right.
can change things at any time, but there's nothing to be afraid of. You can't screw it up.
You had went to hell or visited the place known as hell, and but you also visited the place known as heaven. And
Yeah.
so I'm just really interested, was it like it is and, described in the Bible, like the streets made of gold and you have a mansion or cabin on the hill or whatever that it is. And, when you see your loved ones and there's Jesus and St. Peter and it's just amazing and you never want to leave. And I mean, was it like that or was it like they had better
Parts of it,
PR? But,
yeah, but yeah, parts of it are.
mhm.
Um, After my last segment in that place, I was just, it's ineffable. I mean, nobody can describe how joyous that is. It's the closest I can come to is this flat helium balloon that you put it on the helium and it just goes whoosh instantaneously, just full. But that's, you're full of joy and bliss and happiness and you're home. You think, oh, finally, I'm here. And for me, I saw my best friend who I'd been caring for, who had leukemia, and he died the month before I had. And he looked great. And I was so excited to see him. And it took me a couple seconds. And I thought, oh, he doesn't know he's dead. You know, I'm not
Oh,
going to be the one to tell him. And then he started laughing. And I thought, well, oh, he heard me. And I didn't say that out loud, Ding, it takes a couple of seconds to figure out where you are. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I'm in heaven with my best friend. How it doesn't get any better. And I says, hey, why are we just standing here? Come on, show me around. And he came a little closer and said, well, now, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. Oh, I said, no, I was not leaving, but it did. They said, I wake up out of this coma and I was furious, just so mad. Thank God I couldn't talk. I still had that thing in my throat. I couldn't move. And my family's all yippee skippy. And my mom says, oh, we had a prayer circle going around the globe. We brought you back. And I thought, oh, if I could get my hands on that woman. I was just distraught. And later on, when we were talking, I says, Mom, if I ever have that situation again, I had been bitching for months. Do not bring me back. She says, honey, don't worry, we won't. You're very ungrateful. But that's how it is. You do not want to come back most of the time. Only people I hear of that want to come back are the ones that died giving birth or they got a couple of little kids at home and they just can't. They really need to go back. But most of us did not want to come back.
now you certainly didn't think before 1999 that you would become like a number one bestseller on Amazon, a number one bestseller author. And I mean, you were like into real estate management. Now, you're on lots of podcasts and you just talk. And I think that it's really important what you do. And you talk a lot about the near death experiences. And then let me look, and you have the International Association of Near Death Studies in Seattle. And I mean, it's not just you that's had this experience.
Oh, no, there's
There's probably
thousands.
more than I
Oh,
know.
well, about what's this statistic is something like 1 in 10 people have had at least some sort of, a spiritual experience that they can't quite explain. And
Right.
IANS, that's the group, they've been around 40, I think 43 years now. And there's thousands of people. And we're having a convention at the end of this month in Arizona. Every year we go. Last year there were 800 of us there.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, the energy is just insane. It is
It's like
all those
electrifying.
people. Yeah, it's electricity, and
Yeah.
it's so much electricity that we got a dedicated guy that just goes from room to room, to turn back, the computer's on, the lights go out, the mics don't work. We sit in the dark sometimes and just say, well, a few minutes. Whenever you get that many people who've been there, all that energy, you bring back this energy. I still blow out lights sometimes. I'm surprised things went as well on this podcast as they
Knock
have.
on wood, knock on wood.
I know, because a lot of times they'll say, I don't know, something wrong with the mic. It worked 10 minutes ago. It's just not working now. So you get kind of used to that. And it's a reminder. And you were talking about people seeing their loved ones. Oh, they're all there. Your
Hmm.
pets are all there. Uh, my dad died about 3 years ago, and we talked a lot about this. The rest of my family poo-pooed the whole thing. They didn't want to talk about it.
Hmm.
But my dad was curious. So he still turns on a light next to my seat when I'm watching TV at night. He'll just turn it on out of nowhere. And then if my mom and I are talking too long on the phone, she's got dementia, and he can tell I'm getting kind of tired. He disconnects the phone call. Um, he can. I'll be someplace, and I'll be talking about him or thinking about him, and the lights will start to flicker, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" I said, "It's just my dad. Don't worry about it." So they're there. They're with us all the time, and that's a great comfort when you understand that, especially for atheists. Oh, right now my lights just started
Are
flickering.
you serious? That's cool.
Um, Atheist, I've had some come up to me and say, "Yeah, right, you're a full bullshit, blah, 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 blah." And I
Hmm.
said, you've got the greatest surprise coming. I mean, it just tickles me when they say that, because, they're going to open their eyes and go, oh, I can't believe this is so cool.
Now you're
So,
talking about the electricity and everything,
yeah.
that goes off or changes, or when you experienced this, when you came back, did it bring with you like any gifts other than like maybe the lights flickering, or like did you come back with a stronger knowing about
Yeah, you
things and
do.
people?
Yeah, and you can, I think I'm more sensitive to people's thoughts in as far as moods.
Hmm.
I can, if I'm with somebody, I haven't seen them in a while, and I say, "How's it going? What's going on?" And yeah, oh no, everything's just fine. And I'll get a thing like her daughter, her daughter, her daughter, and I'll say, "Well,
Hmm.
how's your daughter doing?" "Oh, well, yeah, we got a little problem there." So there's a sensitivity I think you pick up. There's something called the voice. That's really your conscience, your higher self, your guardian angel, whatever. Something like before I went away, you're doing something and you're thinking, I really shouldn't say that. I'll just, that's that thing. But when you come back, it's loud. It's a lot louder, and it's very insistent. It brings with it synchronicities. So, like this ions thing, I went 10 years without somebody to talk to. And you think you're losing your mind. You can't, because this experience happens in your soul, not in your brain. And so it doesn't go away. I mean, it's just as clear to the day you die as when it happened. And that's what's so confusing, because you just expect it to fade, and it doesn't. And so finally, when a series of synchronicities, this person says, "Oh, this lady's psychic. She can talk to the dead. I'm having a meeting at my house. You want to come?" And you go, and you think, "Yeah, that was kind of corny." And then somebody says, "Well, that you met at that meeting says, where you really need to go is this one." And you go to that one, and then somebody is there and says, "You know what, you need to go to Ions up in Seattle. I know it's, an hour away and the traffic sucks, but that's where you're going to find that." So that over like a year period, I got up there and I'm listening. I went to 2 or 3 meetings, and they've got the fluffy ones with the angels and, lunch with Jesus and all that stuff. And I say, "Well, that's not really what happened to me."
Right.
And they said, "Okay, we need to hear that, because those about, oh gosh, what is the statistic? It's low. 1 in 15 people that have an near-death experience have some sort of hellish flavor to them, and they're rare, relatively. The thing is, we don't want to talk about it, because when everybody else is talking about, angels and puppies, and we're saying, "Well, I got raped by these zombies," and you go, "What?" You don't want to talk about it. So we're trying to, my thing is to come back and find these people. I've got a sharing group on IANS once a month for the distressing folks, and for a lot of them, it's the first time they've ever told their story. They feel safe with somebody that has experienced it, and we all come to understand that we made our own hell, and that was not God's doing. Come to deal with it and understand it in a whole different way. So that's my purpose. I've got a couple purposes.
Let me ask you something. You know how you're saying about the hell thing, that
Mhm.
it's like God wouldn't, send us anywhere that's bad, or so does that apply? I'm just curious, because I also research true crime and stuff too. So would
Aha.
that so would that apply to like serial killers and child molesters and child killers?
Take the worst one,
Mm-hmm.
Hitler. You think that's wrong. But if he's got a life review
Mm-hmm.
where he is going to experience every bit of pain and horror and torture of everybody he inflicted it upon and their families, he's probably still in the middle of his life review. What else can you do to the guy? And
But
that's not God. That's you. It's more like a karma. It's more like you understanding what your actions made happen. Just like the wonderful ones, like Mother Teresa.
mm-hmm.
Wow, what a cool life review.
Right, right. So I guess the message is for us to do good
Yeah.
and, think about other people and, do what we can to make the world a better place. And
Yeah.
let me do a quote for you before we go. And it says, "The gentle message of love and kindness in our daily lives includes listening to strangers on a plane and looking deeply into the eyes of suffering souls." That's the lesson that you learned,
Well,
and that the
it was
lesson that we should
a little
all
bit
do.
more than that. The
Mm-hmm.
voice told me over a
Mm-hmm.
series of weeks, like, because I said, I don't want to go there again. What can I do that's positive? I'm through with the thou shalt nots.
Uh-huh.
And they said to be loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. All positive, all easy. If you can't remember the whole thing, just be loving and kind.
And I think that that's one of the two most important things that we can be, to each other, but also to ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the key because, like everybody, well, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love someone else, and that's true. So I'm just, the more that I researched about your book and yourself, I just really just have an affinity of it, and, that it's, I really appreciated not that you went through that, but that you're sharing it with us, because you could have maybe kind of kept it to yourself. But there's such a deep message and such a learning that we can get through your book and from you. And
Oh, Misty, that's very kind. Thank you.
and I do appreciate you, like I said, sharing this with the world, and taking time to be out here on the show with me. It really means a lot.
Well, to me too. Thank you. Give me that opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope I get to talk to you again.
Okay, me too.
All
Take care.
right. Have a good night.